If you want to have a great operating system, it's got to factor in how much you're on the go. And it's got to be sympathetic to the fact that you really don't have as many dedicated workplaces as people may think. This is going to help you focus on the right things without burning extra calories in your brain. My intention is to show you exactly how you can leverage a great work tool like Craft Docs to rise above any kind of gathering storm that you may be feeling in your business or your leadership context. The steps are actually really straightforward, so let me just share them with you right now. Number one, just get Craft on all of your work devices. Number two, you're gonna set up at least 2 workspaces for starters. Number three, on that first workspace, you're gonna make it for personal work, and you're gonna work in it chronologically with the calendar feature. The fourth step is on that second workspace, you're gonna use it for your leadership roles or your professional work, and you're gonna work in that categorically by setting up a simple organization system. And then number 5, if this is a conversation you're interested in and you want more of it, I want you to get the Prepared Leaders Operating System framework. The reason I recommend this checklist is just to help you be more present and to make progress under pressure. Even with a great work tool like Craft, I think what's more important is knowing your own workflow. Being confident in your own leadership approach is going to be the deciding factor when you are figuring out new and challenging environments. I'm going to explain a paradigm shift that founders and leaders need to make in order to enjoy high capacity teamwork and then tap into the full value prop that Craft offers. If this conversation interests you, then I'll see you on the other side of this intro. If you're a founder or business owner, I really understand what you're going through because I'm an executive coach and I've been in this space for years. Tell me if you relate. Whether you're a solopreneur or a CEO, I think one of the most overlooked aspects of the entrepreneur's life is the actual map that they're working off of. Like, you're all over the place. Mentally, literally, you're never still. That's something I've learned about this community of leaders. Whether your mind is always going or you are literally on the go, you don't have time or bandwidth to just stay on one topic for a long time. And it makes sense. When you are pioneering any kind of new venture, you cannot be stationary. You can't afford it when you first get started in the journey, but then even afterwards, the CEOs and the executives that do have their desired lifestyle, they're actually traveling even more than they were before. When you are in this kind of work, the notion that you're just going to sit down and have all of this free time to customize your productivity system and to get really geeky and dialed in on everything, it's like not necessary and it's not realistic. If you want to have a great operating system, it's got to factor in how much you're on the go. And it's got to be sympathetic to the fact that you really don't have as many dedicated workplaces as people may think. Either you're escaping the house or you're on a commute or you're on a plane or you're just jumping into a coffee shop. Whatever system you have, that is going to bring stability to your workflow, not the actual locations. I mean, even if you have an office space, the reality is it is probably vulnerable to distraction. And so how are you going to safeguard the most important work? You do it by building this operating system digitally that is going to counterbalance the change that you're experiencing by going all over the map physically. So I think there's a disconnect when we think about our relationship with our work tools. Most journaling and productivity systems seem to miss this map concept altogether. The notion is that you're going to just have all this free time to customize a leisurely workspace. And it sounds fun, right? You can just stay put and you can just have everything come to you. But I think it's cubicle culture creeping in. In reality, most founders and leaders are going to be more like ducks in the lake. They're gliding on top of the water, but their legs are constantly kicking in hyperdrive below the surface. In fact, even when entrepreneurs and managers get together, I think that's one of the only times in the week where they're standing around. The life of a pioneer who is someone launching new initiatives, it just keeps moving from one idea to another, from one lead to another, from one fire to put out to another, and again, from one location to another. So I'm all for the idea of a structured lifestyle. Super dialed in, very disciplined, where you just have one place you show up to all the time and you're doing great work. And then you have all of these deep work sessions available. And yes, if you're an entrepreneur, you can make your own schedule. But the reality is, after being in the trenches with business owners and with entrepreneurs and founders and just leaders in general, that's not the default. It is a great idea. It is an aspirational goal for sure. There are times where you actually tap into that jet stream and you can enjoy that kind of momentum, but it's not going to be every day. Most of the time, we have to figure out how to manage multiple fronts at the same time. And that's where a lot of this context switching is coming from. And so I'm being sympathetic to that scenario. And I want to encourage you that you don't have to have the most dialed in, disciplined workflow to do great work. You have to stay focused on your specific field of leadership and influence. And if you're going to have a commitment to that, then you should find work tools that are okay with that. And I think Craft Docs has become that for me. Yes, eventually, in the long tail of things, we all want to become the kind of people that our ecosystem can count on. But I'm serious, like today, you don't need to be, overthinking how you're going to be this heroic leader. It's just draining the prime time you literally have today to do something positive. Just bookmark that desire to grow into a better leader and join me at my next event training, the Prepared Leaders Challenge, because we show up and we talk about capacity building all at once. And it's a great way to batch this conversation and give you the frameworks you need to actually grow into that more disciplined leader. But in the meantime, don't get discouraged. You're doing something great, and you need to be grateful that you have today and you have this week and you have this season to get to work. I'm really passionate about helping you find practical solutions for your leadership context. And I want to share the things that are working in the field tested spaces where these kind of pioneer leaders are showing up at. And the thing I'm trying to speak to is, in reality, most of these kinds of leaders are on the go and they're maxed out and they are managing multiple fronts at the same time. So the whole arrangement of how we present great work happening is just going to be unrealistic for a lot of them. And that's why this kind of tool like Craft Docs, and then on top of that, this kind of operating system, which is the Prepared Leaders OS, it's going to meet you right where you are. And it's going to help you do great work regardless of where you find yourself in any given day. Whether you find yourself at a soccer field with your kids, or at a coffee shop, or at an airport, or at somebody else's house where you're hanging out with friends, you're going to have to learn how to make the most of the time you have. And you can't get cluttered or distracted just because everything isn't perfect. I want to dive in now to how I would approach this kind of workflow with Craft Docs. I'm going to look at the checklist again and walk you through step by step. The first thing is just get Craft Docs on all of your work devices. Seriously, that is one of the best surefire ways to focus and to enjoy work again. The second thing is, when you set up your account, I want you to start with at least 2 workspaces. One is going to be for yourself, and the other is going to be for your leadership role. So one personal, one professional. I think we get that. I think most of us kind of think that way already. One disclaimer is, when I say these 2 workspaces, I don't mean that they're both private. These can and hopefully will become shared workplaces. On the personal side, you might share it with your spouse or your family. On the professional side, you're going to be sharing it with your team. So that's one of the benefits of Craft Docs, is they've done an amazing job at making this super collaborative without forcing you to understand all of the features. All right, now the steps 3 and 4 are going to be how you operate in these 2 workspaces. For the personal workspace, I want you to work chronologically by focusing on the calendar feature. This is super simple. You're going to base camp every day in the calendar. So every day you start with the new day, whatever day it is, you go to that day on the calendar feature and you just get to work. You just drain your brain, you start thinking, you start working, you do a voice recording, you drop in a link, and what's going to happen is you're going to create this paper trail. That's going to be the default method in this workspace. It's all about just documenting your journey, and you're documenting every day as it comes. So literally every day is different. Every day you're going to be in a different place, mentally, physically, and that's okay because that calendar feature can handle it. Good news is you can search, you can scan anytime you want. It's really fun to kind of rediscover stuff that you put in. This workspace is going to grow organically over time. So no pressure, just now you have a place to show up and work. And if you care about tracking your time, tracking your progress, then this is absolutely a good fit for you. This would be the digital journal for your leadership journey. As rewarding as that sounds, oh good, I get a digital journal for my leadership journey. The reality is it's not going to be enough to structure a team operation with. So that's why we're going to supplement with the other workspace. And so if you're wondering, you've probably seen me make videos about both. I've talked a little bit about the calendar feature, which is amazing. And then I've also talked about creating kind of a new approach to Craft, including the calendar feature. Like for example, I talked about using the calendar as a staging ground for all the stuff you want to publish. So now you can see if you're really ready to go live any day or any given week. And so you're kind of wondering like, well, which is it? Do I just drop in things as I'm thinking about them, or do I prepare what is going to be published in the future? And I would say it's both, but now it's in these 2 workspaces. On the personal workspace, you are going through chronologically, day by day, and now on the professional side, the leadership workspace, you can create a organization system, and that organization system can be developed with your team in mind, and then it can become a operating system. The difference is you're thinking more categorically. What I mean is you're going to create this organization system with pages or folders, and you're literally building out the way you want to organize the work. What that does is it's going to prevent a lot of clutter and scope creep. It's not like the calendar that's just going to grow organically. On this side, you're kind of creating the boundaries before you get to business. And that's going to be really helpful when you involve other people. You're not going to show up into this workplace and feel like a digital housekeeper that has to pick up after every project. Instead, you're going to know every time you show up that you can do your best work because everything is organized as it should be. Now, if you're saying, how do I organize that side of things? Then that's when you need to get the Prepared Leaders OS, because that shares with you the framework that I'm using to help leaders stay focused no matter where they are. I love what Craft is doing. I can't encourage you enough to go check it out, lean into it, take advantage of it. They offer a variety of inputs like text and media and whiteboard drawings and video and audio and more. But it's also really collaborative, and I appreciate that. I use this as an executive coach, as a leader. I do this for personal projects. It just makes sense to the way we do work today. Again, there are advanced strategies that I do share in the Prepared Leaders OS, but even if you don't check that out, if you do this checklist, you will absolutely feel the benefit of having a reliable workplace digitally, no matter where you end up physically. Hopefully you're feeling the goodwill in this conversation, and I hope that you win with your best work. Thanks so much for going through this with me. If you're a founder or leader, I'm here to pioneer with you. Support this podcast, prepare to go there. Join my next event training, the Prepared Leaders Challenge, and ask a question about your leadership context or about executive coaching with me at peterburchfield.com. Remember, the future has so many fields waiting for you, so prepare to go there.